Welcome, everyone. Hello. Welcome to AIM. AIM for Success. Achieve, Inspire, Motivate. How excited are you to be here today? All right. It's a very exciting morning at LBCC. I'm Dr. Reagan Romali. I'm the superintendent president here at Long Beach City College. How many business majors do we have in the house? Woo! Me too. So it's wonderful. You might think, well, wait a minute, you're the head of a school. How come you're a business major? Well, we run $1.2 billion here. So do you need business skills to run a school? Yes. You'd be amazed at how many opportunities you're going to have available to you in your life with a business degree. So we're so excited to be here today and offer you these learning opportunities about business and leadership. We have 4 wonderful panelists who are here today who are going to share their experiences with you and give you a sense of what their advice is. So take really good notes, because the more that you can learn from people and not have to go through the hard part of experiencing yourself, if you're smart, which you are, you'll learn from others and take it and apply it into your own life. So we want to welcome you here today. Now don't forget, we got a hall monitor here. Ole the Viking is here. Don't forget to buy your Ole the Viking stickers. You need to proudly represent LBCC. Your donations are going to go help business scholarships for student education. So thank you so much for coming, and I'm going to turn it over to our amazing, #1, top-notch business professor team.
Thank you, Dr. Romali, for those opening remarks. We truly appreciate it. You're busy, and we truly appreciate the inspiration that you're giving our students right now. Just to introduce myself, my name is Nick Carbonaro. I'm a professor in the business department, along with Dr. Sandra O'Toole. We are both advisors to the Long Beach City College Business Club, and the event that you're seeing today was 100% put on by our business club students. So the decorations, the tables, the every logistics portion of this event was put on by our business club students. And so that's the point of what we try to accomplish with students entering the Long Beach City College Business Club. So if you are a business major and you are not part of a business, or not part of the team, not part of the business club, it's very easy to join. You go to our website, lbccbizclub.com, sign up on our mailing list, and then show up to our meetings once a week for an hour during your in-between classes. So you really get the opportunity to put on events like this, to do fundraising and philanthropy. And so before I introduce some of the people that made this possible part of our executive board leadership team, I just want to kind of show you the layout of what we have in this room. So after our presentations, you can check it out. Over to your right, my left in the very back corner, we have all the information regarding the business department. So if you're not a business major, or even if you are a business major and you want to know about transfer options, class schedules, anything like that, we have that over there available for you. We have coffee and water in the back for you as well. In the far right corner, my right corner, we have our fundraising merchandise that we have put on throughout the entire semester. So hopefully you've seen them around. We've created 6 different designs of Ole the Viking stickers, and 10% of all the proceeds that you donate go to the Child Development Center right down the street. So incorporating a business aspect along with philanthropy and just creating a better community for everybody else. So if you donate $2, we give you an Ole sticker. If you donate $10, we'll give you a pack of 6. And we're also for our shirts as well, we have $10 strictly business and driven shirts back there. So you donate $10, you get a free shirt from the Long Beach City College Business Club. And then as you leave this event, right outside, and you probably saw it while you were waiting in that little mixer at 9:40 before the event started, Cengage Publishing was out there, and they were so graciously to come and give you, the students, the opportunity to see their course offerings for the following semesters. They got a great new product that they're launching called Cengage Unlimited. And as a personal finance instructor myself, I'm looking for the best options for my students to save a buck here and there. So go out there, check them out, see what it's all about. But before we get into the event, I want to bring up 2 people that were really really were the driving force behind this event. They put a lot of time, a lot of effort into it, a lot of logistics into it. And so I'm going to bring up the chairs of the Aim for Success event. We have Seetlali and Leo as well. So they're going to both come up here.
All right, thank you, Professor Carbonaro, for that warm introduction.
And thank you to our fellow students and administration from not only our school, but local colleges for showing up.
Just to reiterate, what AIM for Success stands for is Achieve, Inspire, and Motivate.
And we all hope that today will do just that.
With finals coming up, we both know how hard it is and how stressful it can get, no matter what major you are.
But just try to sit back, relax, and let the speakers inspire and motivate you to achieve your goals.
Honestly, we should speak at commencements for universities. But
All right, Hotshot, don't get too carried away.
fine.
So enough of us. Please, everyone, give a warm welcome to the one and only Dr. O'Toole, who we'd honestly be so completely lost without.
Thank you. I also want Yosef Golob and Alicia Robles, where are you, to stand up. They were instrumental also in putting this event together. It's so wonderful to see a full house. I'm sure the extra credit helps as well. But I know that there's there's two former presidents. I'll introduce the first, but I know that Marcos is here? He's a former business club president too. Well, I'm so honored to introduce our first speaker. This wonderful person is a Long Beach City College alum and one of my absolute favorite students, hands down. Not that I don't love all of you, right? Morena was the president of Business Club while she was here at City College, and she is the actual creator and founder of this event that we're all getting to share today. So it's really incredible what she has put together and left a footprint for all of us to enjoy for years to come. She is an amazing young lady. I believe, I know her, she's going to achieve anything she sets her mind to. She's smart, she's kind, she's creative, truly authentic. She has a love for learning and an incredible zest to just enjoy life. Currently, she's earning her bachelor's at Pepperdine University. And let me just tell you something. I miss her so much in my class, but I hope she knows that she has truly inspired and motivated me to be a better professor, and I'm so grateful to her for that. When I think about her, I just know this. The sky's the limit for this amazing, incredible young lady. And I know you will all agree when we hear her speak that reaching for your personal aim is not out of reach for anybody. She really is someone special. I hope you take the time to get to meet her when we do our question and answers. And I just feel extremely blessed to be a little part of her journey and proudly introduce the one and only Morena Yap.
So that was really nice. I was nervous enough, but she hyped me up. So guys, I'm Morena. Like she said, I was the creator of this event. I used to be the president of Business Club. This event actually came to me one night. I was watching a bunch of TED Talks, and I just stayed up all night till 5 in the morning, and then I came to school, and I was so excited. I told all of Business Club, we're going to do a TED event here. TED turned me down. They didn't want to come to LBCC, so we made our own. But yeah, so actually when Sandra asked me to speak a couple of weeks ago, I said yes automatically, because I love Business Club, obviously. I love Aim for Success. And then I stepped back, and a couple days ago, I was like, what am I going to say to them? I was so nervous, and I still am really nervous, because right now, I'm in like a transition period. I am about to enter my last year of college, and I don't really know exactly what I want to do anymore after college. And I have a rough idea, but it's nothing as clear as when I left LBCC a couple years ago. So it's strange speaking to you at an event called Aim for Success when I personally don't necessarily know what I'm aiming for right now. And to be honest, I woke up a couple hours ago and I still didn't know what to say. I wrote all of this down literally 7:30 in the morning. This event starts at 10. And it just came to me. You know, I woke up and I was like, I just need to follow my intuition, believe in myself, and be myself, because those are the things that got me to Pepperdine in the first place. So my story is I used to be a college dropout. The thing is, my freshman year of college, I moved to San Diego. I decided to go to college immediately after high school because that's what everybody does. That's what my family did. That's what my friends were doing, so I went. Part of me knew I wasn't ready, but I just went anyway. Turns out, going to college still made me hate school just as much as I hated it in high school. So I get to San Diego. I didn't like school, and I didn't like it enough to stop showing up to classes. Is that better? Okay. I stopped showing up to my classes in San Diego. I didn't care enough to drop them, so I ended up failing some of them. I liked one of them enough to kind of get a passing grade. Long story short, it led me to having a 0.36 GPA. No one even knew that was possible, to have a 0 in front of your GPA. And the only reason the 36 was in there was because I kind of liked my Spanish class enough to try. So, so naturally, honestly, I dropped out at the end of it. I wasn't going to do something that I wasn't passionate about. I wasn't going to do something that I was clearly failing at in the moment. So I left San Diego, and for a reason I still don't know to this day, something pushed me to move to Las Vegas. Honestly, when people ask me why I did that, I looked at a map and I was just looking at major cities, and I thought, I liked Las Vegas when I was little, so let's go. I went. I knew one person in Las Vegas. She helped me get a job planning events and weddings. I was a wedding planner for a year, and I was so happy and I was so content, and I thought I was going to live in Las Vegas forever, and I was going to do that forever. But again, another day, I woke up, and I didn't want to do that anymore. Something told me I wanted a little bit more. Something told me I didn't want to live in Las Vegas forever. So I followed my intuition, and 2 days after deciding that I was going to leave Las Vegas, I left. Came back home to Long Beach, and I knew that it was going to be my chance to start over, kind of press the restart button. And yeah, I just moved cities again. And this brought me to sign up for summer classes at LBCC. I figured, let's give school a try. I'm going to do it. So I'm looking at the register for classes. I'm looking at what I want to do. And I see something pop up. I was like, okay, I'm remotely interested in business, so I'm going to check out the business classes. Business law pops up. I signed, and you know, Dr. Sandra O'Toole teaches business law. So I look at this, and I'm like, okay, Professor Sandra O'Toole, didn't know anything about her. But I heard business law, and I liked business. And in my mind, literally, I was like, okay, I like business, and I loved Legally Blonde. So let's try business law. And that's exactly what got me to sign up for it. So I did. A couple weeks later, school is starting. I'm in the parking lot right here by the tennis courts, and I'm sitting in my car, and I had just gone to school. I was a little bit early, so I had time to back out. You know, I had time to contemplate. It was the first day of summer classes, and I could have just left if I wanted to. And I was actually physically pulling my car out of the spot, and then I look down, I look at my cup holder, and there was a green tea latte that I just bought from Starbucks that morning. And I was like, am I really going to waste this? I already bought it. I already tried to wake myself up, and I drank some of it, so let's just pull back into the parking spot, check out if we like the professor, and we'll see if that will get me to stay in this class and stay in school. So then that green tea latte pushed me to get up, get out of my car, go into the class. I met Sandra O'Toole. I fell in love with business law. And I figured out that Sandra and I were basically the same person. It helped me stay in school, you know, to meet someone that believed in me more than I believed in myself at the time. And I found out that I could really enjoy school. And then after that, obviously, you know the story, I stayed. I created Business Club when it didn't even exist at LBCC anymore. Made myself president because they had no choice since I created it. And then we created things like this. We created Aim for Success. I ended up joining Academic Honor Society, like I think the one here is Phi Theta Kappa. And then eventually, as you know, I transferred to Pepperdine University where I am right now. the takeaway from that story is that clearly, like, success is within your reach. And that part of you that will drive you to the end and what you feel is your definition of success, it's already in you. It was in me, and like, I attribute it to that little moment with my Starbucks drink, but it was already in me. I already knew that there was part of me that wanted to be better and wanted to do better. And I just needed some little push to get there. So, like, it's why you're here at this event. I know that you're getting extra credit, but no one forces you to come to school. No one forces you to come to things like this. So you already know that part of you wants to be better than what you, like, to do better than what you're doing now. There are amazing, like, clubs, like Business Club. There's amazing professors. I didn't go about this alone. That's another thing that I realized. Keeping people around you that believe in you more than you believe in yourself is a really big thing to push you forward. But then at the end of the day, you have to believe in your own self. If I can go from having a 0.36 GPA to having a 4.0 at Pepperdine University, if I can do that with just a little bit of intuition and a green tea latte, I think you can too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Morena. Now you know why she is so special. I'm confident we will continue to be inspiring you with our next presenter, Susie Price. Susie Price graduated from Cal State Long Beach in 1994 with a BA in political science. Susie was very active in student government and ultimately served as student body president. She went on to receive her MA in public policy and administration from Cal State Long Beach and graduated with distinction and was selected as Cal State Long Beach's 1996 Outstanding Graduate from the College of Health and Human Services. She attended Santa Clara Law School from 1996 to 1999, where she received her Juris Doctorate. During that time, Susie served as adjunct professor at Cal State University, Hayward, where she also served as the project manager for a technology grant, which brought computer technology and education to community-based organizations in the city of Oakland. Upon graduation from Santa Clara, Susie began her work as deputy district attorney in Ventura County, prosecuting homicide cases, including gang-related murders, sexual assault, and domestic violence cases. In 2003, Susie moved back to Long Beach and began her service as deputy district attorney in Orange County. She was selected to head up the Orange County District Attorney's Office for Vehicular Homicide Division, where she successfully prosecuted multiple DUI fatalities and was awarded multiple awards and honors from statewide community service programs. She received consecutive years of recognition as the Diligent Prosecutor Award from Mothers Against Drunk Driving and named in 2011 as one of the top 75 female lawyers in California for dedication and service to her community by the Daily Journal. In 2017, Susie was recognized as Citizen of the Year by the Aquatics Capital of America and named as a distinguished alumni from Cal State University Long Beach. Susie's currently very active, either as an advisor or educator in many different leadership roles for several statewide and community organizations that are designed to support youth and help them make responsible choices with their lives and open their eyes to the criminal justice system. She's also very active in GRIP, which represents gang reduction and intervention programs that educate youth from high-risk communities about the dangers of gang membership and drug usage. Susie was elected to serve as a 3rd District Council member in 2014 and was recently re-elected to serve our wonderful Long Beach community. As council member, Susie serves as chair and or vice chair for many integral community councils, such as Public Safety, Economic Development, and Finance and Tidelands Committee. Please know, I simply, literally highlighted the many areas of Susie's life that has recognized her devotion for justice and community service. Susie's also a devoted wife to her husband, Mark, and an amazing mom to her 2 sons who attend local Long Beach Unified Schools. She's also a wonderful friend, and I'm so honored to welcome her to our college, Councilwoman Susie Price.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking some time to hear from me this morning. It's actually my honor and my privilege to be here, and I'm grateful that Professor O'Toole reached out to me. She did reach out to me while we were on a boat in the middle of the water, so I didn't have too many options to say no. So she's very smart. She knows where to get her speakers and how to exert influence. So let that be a lesson to you. If you want something from someone, get them out on a boat. But I will tell you that I really enjoy talking to students and talking to the youth. It's probably one of the best things for me to do because of my own personal journey. And I'm going to share that with you a little bit because I hope it serves as a source of inspiration for you so that as you're sitting here today, you can think about your own individual skills, your own individual areas of opportunity for growth, and think about the person that you want to be, not just next year or in the next 3 to 4 years, but where you see yourself 10 years from now, 15 years from now. What impact do you feel you're going to have in the world around you? And that was a conversation I really never had with myself. I was born in the United States, but my parents are Iranian. So when I was a baby, we moved back to Iran. And in 1979, my mother and I left the country amidst an Islamic revolution. And we left my sister and my father behind. I didn't see them for 21 years. And I was raised here in America with my mom and learned how to speak English at the age of 7. And because of this kind of unusual childhood, I got into a stage when I was in high school where I entered my own personal pity party, which was so enjoyable, I decided to stay there for 4 years. And every time something didn't work out for me, my excuse was, well, if only I had a sister, I'd be able to manage the situation better. If only I had a father in my life, I wouldn't have this problem or that problem. And I would look around me and see everybody else who seemed to have these nuclear families with a lot of resources. And I just got my mental state in a place where I felt like I wasn't capable of having the opportunities that other people had because of my life circumstance. I had a mom who was a nurse, worked 2 jobs to really get a career in America. And, not only did she passed all her board exams and everything to be a nurse here, she ended up retiring with over 40 years as a worker at the age of 68 from the LA Unified School District as the director of the nursing program there, having 300 nurses working under her and helping so many other immigrant women from Iran who came here learn to pass the exam. And so that was my source of inspiration. And my grandmother was a single working mom at a time when women didn't even work, right? So for some reason, I lost sight of that when I was in high school. I lost sight of how your own personal success has everything to do with what you're willing to put into it. Things don't just happen for you, for most of us. Things don't just happen for us. Opportunities don't just present themselves on our doorstep. If you're anything like me, you have to make your own opportunities. We didn't have things handed to us when I was growing up. My mom and I worked for every single thing we have. And it took me to get to the bottom for me to realize what my true potential is. And sometimes that's the beauty of life, right? As painful as it is, it's not until you reach your lowest point, whether personally or in a relationship, where you realize sometimes you have to get to the bottom before you can build back up to who you are. And that's what happened to me. I graduated high school with a very low GPA. I really don't know how it is that I got accepted into Cal State Long Beach. I think they made a major admissions mistake. I really do. But I'm not challenging it at this point. I also am suspect that I actually passed the bar, but they say I did. So I'm not asking any questions. But I joined, I went to Long Beach State, and honestly, it sounds hokey, but it was where I found my wings. And I realized I could fly, and I never knew that before. And it had to do with the faculty that I encountered and the friends that I surrounded myself with. I decided that rather than trying to fit in to groups where I clearly didn't fit in, which is what I was trying to do in high school. I would instead try to find a place where people liked me for who I was. And I would try to find a place where I fit in just being who I am. And it's amazing that that decision by me empowered me to live a life that I never thought I would have had. So when I got to Long Beach State, I had this amazing faculty and support. I made friends with people who still are in my life today, who believed in me, who each had their own personal struggle or journey. It's amazing. You tend to surround yourself with people that are like you in some way. That really gave me the foundation for everything that I was able to do after that. And a few years ago when I ran for office, the position, running for office, by the way, is really not a glamorous thing. It's awful. It really is. Running for office, there's very little upside to it, other than you get opportunities like this, so that in 10 years, some of you might say, you know what, I heard from this council lady once who really her life was going nowhere and she turned it around, and that inspired me to make my own good decisions. Okay, so those are the benefits of public office, is that people invite you and you get opportunities to get to encourage people to be their very best. Because had I not done that, you may not want to be hearing from me today if I hadn't turned my own life around. But running for office is really like standing up in front of a crowd of people naked. Every flaw you've ever had, people will point out. And they'll point it out on social media. Oh, she has frizzy hair, whatever. They will point it out. And you start to learn a lot about yourself. And you start to learn that in order for you to be successful, and I'm 45 years old. This is a lesson I wish I would have known when I was the age of most of you. When you start to identify who you really are, you can find out what are your strengths. What are your weaknesses? Because we all have them. What are your emotional triggers? What is it that you hear that causes you to not be your very best? That causes you to doubt yourself? That causes you to question yourself? What is it, and how can you change that thinking in your head to be the very best that you can be? And for me, I didn't want to run for office. I was afraid. I was afraid of failure. I was afraid of losing. I was afraid that people would point things out very publicly that I know about myself that would be hurtful. Or that they would point things out that aren't true that would be hurtful. I was afraid of all of that. But I decided that if I was going to reach for my very best and be the person that I want to be, I needed to step out of my comfort zone. And so I challenge each of you to do that. When the position came up in our district, I was really active in my kids' PTA, and a group of the moms said, you did such a great job with the school auction, you should run for city council, as if there's any relationship between the two. But within my own community, I was being thought of as a leader. And I thought about the people who had served in my position for decades before me. They didn't look like me. They didn't have my life story. They had way more financial assets than I do. And I thought to myself, why shouldn't a working mom who immigrated to this country have the opportunity to sit at the policy table just like everyone else? Why? Why do I have to have policies made for me by someone who has no idea what my life is like? That's not okay with me. I'm going to run for office so that I have a position to say things like, you know what? For working moms, we need services open on Sundays, because that's the only time we can take our kids to benefit from city services. You know what? We need more crosswalks. We need more this. We need more female-friendly policies in the workplace. I wanted to have that voice, and so I did it. And my husband actually said to me, you know what? Don't worry about losing. It's going to be embarrassing and all that. You probably will lose. Nobody knows who you are. You'll probably lose. But let's just do it anyway, and you can decide if you even like the election process. And, we put it out there. We put our heart and soul out there. and we won at the primary election, which was historical for the city because there were 5 people in the race. No one had ever won a primary outright with 5 people in the race. In the history of the city, it had never happened. So my reason for telling you that is sometimes if you're willing to step outside of your comfort zone and give it all you have with your full authenticity and everything you have to bring to the table, amazing things can happen. And it's not always everything is wonderful. It's not that everything about you that you're bringing is positive. That's not the case. I'm a human being. I have flaws just like everyone, but I have strengths too, and so do each and every one of you. And I know what my strengths are, and I'm going to use those to make the world around me better. That is my commitment to myself. So ask yourself, do you have a strength? Is there something about you that your friends and your family say, I love this about you because it makes me feel great? Is it how you talk? Is it how you listen? Is it how you advocate? Is it your loyalty? Is it your passion? Is it your commitment? Is it your follow-through? Is it that you're willing to work hard? What is it about you that makes you special? Identify that, and from there, step outside of your comfort zone and take it a step further. Because honestly, I stand here to tell you anything is possible. It really is. After the last election, again, we won by ridiculously high margins just a couple of weeks ago. Historical margins, okay? And after that, I started to get all these calls from people. What are you going to run for next? We want to support you for this position, for that position. And I'm thinking, I'm still not even sure I wanted to run for the position I just got elected for. Really? And so opportunities present themselves that you never thought would when you're your own authentic self, making yourself present in the moment with all of your strengths out there. Chart your own journey, whatever that journey is. Each and every one of you can do amazing things. And I don't say that to pump you up. I say it because it's true. So thank you guys. And if any of you ever want to reach out to me, you want an internship either at the DA's office or in my council office, please give me a call. You can just Google my name. You can find me. I'm now a supervisor at the DA's office, and I run a whole courthouse. So I'm happy to take on anyone who wants to think about go to law school and you want to come and do some really boring work with me for a while, because we don't give the exciting work to the interns. I'm going to be honest with you. But you want to come and intern and learn the business, or you think you want to be in politics and you want to learn the work, give me a call. We will find a place for you. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you once again, Councilwoman Price. We truly appreciate, I know you're busy, but inspiring, motivating, it's very, very good. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, one more time. So far, we've heard from a former student, right? We've heard from a former student at Long Beach City College. We've heard from somebody within the community making a difference for you as citizens of Long Beach and community and going to school here at Long Beach City College. And the next speaker that's gonna come up here is actually really, really true to my heart. Professor Russ Arslan taught at Long Beach City College for 40 years, and he started at 20 years old, right, teaching economics. He was my economics professor for both macro and microeconomics, so it's still a little difficult when, after you graduate and you have a former professor say, oh no, just call me Russ, right? It's still, the title is Professor Arslan, so it's there. So Professor Arslan, since he's actually been more busy since he retired from Long Beach City College. He's an author. I just found out this morning he's an inventor. So that's amazing. And he's a consultant, and he does a lot of philanthropy as well. During when I was in school, after I graduated from Long Beach City College and transferred up to USC, he mentored me. He gave me internship type of opportunities, and really, honestly, one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life. So without further ado, I want Russ to come up here and motivate you just like he motivated myself when I was in your seat.
I'd like to thank all of you, excuse my voice, and I'd like to thank Nick and Sandra. I really haven't been back on the campus for many years. I tend to feel that your world should always get bigger, and after I left teaching, I wanted to do other things. I've realized a couple hard acts to follow because everybody's so exuberant and so enthusiastic about being here. I want to try to give you a path, or at least have you think about a path towards success. I feel that success is the ability to overcome and have some direction over your environment. Because most of us find out during life there's a lot of problems because things are bigger than our ability to solve them. So I think what you should do is put yourself in a position to at least have some say relative to your future, relative to the present. But I feel that everything you should do should not only be based upon your thoughts, your desires, and your whims and wills, it should encompass other people. I think success, and I've kind of written it down, is a whole package. It's the ability to control your environment. It's the ability to have some say in societal types of endeavors. It's an emotional success that you have, and it's a financial success. I also believe in a phraseology, it's the whole package. That when I meet you or when I see you, you have to be exemplary. Because if you want to be successful, it's a long, hard, I'm going to call it a road. It's a direction you have to take. Today, because of complexity and how sophisticated society is, I don't really believe you can do it on your own. I think you need a mentor or a shepherd. And I think you should be like a sponge at your age. You should walk into a classroom and see a Sandra or a Nick and realize that they're there for you. This, for them, is their life's work to help you. And shepherds like that can make you a better person. I want you to be a better person, not just for yourself, but for the people around you. Everything you're involved in, I'm going to call it a product of a type, but they're stakeholders. What you do affects other people. If you own a business, you sell a product to the community. Is it a good product? Is it a good product for the community? You have people that work for you. If you're a business, there are different types of things in terms of your relationship to the government. You have relationships with shareholders. You have relationships with yourself and your family and financial obligations. I want you to put these things in a context of you are not the center of the world. What you do spreads out to other people. I want you to work, and every day you go to work, and I want you to be a citizen, and every day you're a citizen, it's going to be a masterpiece. Because you can't do yesterday over. All you can do is make today better. And I really believe that. I want, when you walk out of this room, not because of me, but because of the program, when you walk out of the room, you're taller than you were before. You have better posture. You had a great experience that says, I want to carry this on to other people. And I really believe that in my heart. I taught here for 40 years, and I loved every day of it. It was great. I loved coming to work. I loved the young people that I was with. And I realized after I retired, I got more from the people that were my students than they got from me. Because they forced me to be young, they forced me to think in collective terms that I'm not the center of the world's bigger than me, and we all have to work together to solve problems. Now, I use the word problems because life is problem after problem, and it's how you solve it. And I really tend to think that most people give up too soon. I think if you're going to be successful, you've always heard be the first person to work, be the last person to leave. I think you should realize that you can't give up too soon. Most of us give up right at the very end, and one more step, you'll be successful. By giving up when you do, you fail. And my definition of failure is making your world smaller, not having the ability to help people that are around you. Now, I have a lot of different thoughts, and some you will embrace, some you won't. But I tend to think there's a hierarchy. And there's a hierarchy of a group that you're in. If you look at your friends, and I'll just say there's 10 of you, one of you is exemplary, it's at the top, one of you is at the bottom. You fall in there. What I would like you to do is self-evaluate and ask yourself where you fall, who you are, why you're 1 or why you're 10. If you're 1, you want to be 10. If you're 10, you don't want to fall. But what's really interesting to me is this. Any group that you go to, you'll be at the same position. If you leave here and go to Cal State Long Beach, which is a 4-year institution that grants bachelor's degrees, and this is a 2-year institution and it doesn't, you'll be at the same point. If you leave Cal State Long Beach, which is just an average school in the United States, and go to Harvard or Stanford or MIT, you'll be at the same point. So my suggestion is always aim for the highest. What your aspirations are should always be greater than your ability to reach. Cal State Long Beach is a great school. I taught there for 35 years. I was a member of the faculty here and a member of the faculty there. What makes it a school that's not as good as Stanford or not as good as Harvard is the students that go there worked harder at Stanford and Harvard. Their world is bigger. They see more things. My suggestion to you is make your world bigger. Long Beach is a great place, but Washington, D.C. is better. Working here, it will say Starbucks is great, but working in a place that's bigger, that does more for the community is even better. I want you to strive for more. I want your world to always increase in size. And one of the problems that you have is this, it's a complacency. You think, well, you know, if I work hard, I'll get someplace. See how other people work. See what they do. See what they have. And that's why I think a mentor or a sponsor is so important, because they will make the world look different to you than what you see, because they have better visions. They have done more things. Now, kind of an interesting aside, and we all have stories to tell. This was a couple years ago. We were flying back from Cairo, Egypt to the United States, because I do some business in Cairo. I do some strategic consulting for a couple people in the parliament there. And to make a long story short, some young man was sitting next to me on the plane, and he was dressed up in a suit. And it was late in the spring, and it was really hot, and I couldn't imagine some kid dressed up in a suit. Then I looked around the plane, and there were probably 10 guys in suits, 10 young men, probably 15 young women dressed up very nicely on a plane. And you never see that anymore. So I started talking to the young man. My wife and I were talking to him. And he said, excuse me, I have to talk to, and the name was Mrs. Burnett, to see if she will allow me to talk to you. So she comes up and introduces herself. She ran a program in New York City for disadvantaged kids. And the kids came from homes that were broken. The kids came from homes that you and I could not comprehend how bad they were, what horrible situations they lived in. Every one of these kids had to wear garments to school every day that were similar. They had uniforms to wear. They couldn't miss school no matter what. If they missed one day, they were out of the program. The graduating class, and most of the kids were on the plane, was 34 kids. 33 of them had scholarships, and scholarships to major schools. Most of these kids were taking classes, physics, calculus, 2 or 3 different languages. They were pushed to places they couldn't comprehend when they were younger, when they didn't have a sponsor, when they didn't have someone that cared for them. So I'm talking to this young man, and he just came back from Egypt, and he's like 17 years old, and she comes up, and she said, well, we're going to have to do some things, and he was going to leave and go sit with the other students. And so I said to her, it's really nice for you to bring the kids to Egypt. She said, wealthy kids have advantages. And what I try to do is I want to make sure that my kids can be on par with them. They can sit at a table and they will have an experience that somebody else might not have. I never want my kids to be disadvantaged because their world is too small. So my suggestion to you is find a mentor, find a sponsor. Find a Nick or a Sandra that will help you, give you some guidance. Be humble. Listen to them. Don't think you know everything. Because at your age, you're extremely bright. For you to be here, you're in the top 2 or 3% of this college. Look around. There's nobody else on this campus. You are exemplary young people. But what you don't have is experience. So my suggestion is find that mentor. Find someone you can trust. Find someone that will be a parent to you. Find someone that can give you a path or direction to be successful so you can control your environment, not only to help yourselves, but help others and make other people better and society better. Whoops, there goes my water that I spilt. I apologize. Have a very nice afternoon. It's been a pleasure to be up here. I'll put the paper right here if you stop up the water.
Thank you so much to Professor Arsenault. I hope all of you know how lucky we are, including myself, listening to all of our wonderful guest presenters. This has really taken me back where I'm looking at, I need to step up my game here, people. My goodness. I'm confident that you're going to just really enjoy our next speaker. You're really in for a special treat. The next presenter is someone who is a very dear friend to me. He's an incredible person, and anyone who meets him will feel completely encouraged and truly motivated to live their best life. He inspires everyone who is lucky enough to just simply be around him, especially if you're his friend, and I'm truly grateful I'm one of them. Our next presenter is Jim Knob, and I want to tell you a little background about him. Jim was an outstanding athlete from Lakewood High School, so he's local here, and actually just found out that he took some courses at City College, so there's a lot of community involvement here. He then went on to Long Beach State and was a top American pole vaulter and a finalist in the 1976 Olympics before a 1978 traffic accident left him paralyzed before the 1980 Olympic Games. He turned his depression and suicidal descent into a true raging passion to become an athlete once again. With the aid of a very dear friend of his name is Bud Harris, he's no longer with us. He was a brilliant paralyzed war veteran. Jim helped create the first professional sport for the handicapped, which was wheelchair racing. And guess what? Jim Knob became wheelchair racing's greatest champion ever. So we're just so thrilled that he's here. After setting a wheelchair marathon world record in 1982, the Boston Marathon, he went on to win 4 more world titles. In the early 1980s and 1990s, Jim held the world record in absolutely every single race distance from 5,000 meters to the marathon. Jim is an alum of the Lakewood High School, and he graduated in 1974, correct? Where he was inducted to the Youth Hall of Fame in 1981, and Jim was also inducted in 1990 to the Hall of Fame at Long Beach State. Jim was an active national motivational speaker for many years with several different organizations, but enjoyed working primarily with youth. That was his focus. We are so grateful he's here today to share his personal AIM story with us, and it's my absolute genuine pleasure to introduce a true champion, Jim Knob.
Thank you. I hope this is working okay and you can hear me. I got to let you know, first of all, I'm running on about 2 hours sleep because I put together this PowerPoint all week, and then last night my computer crashed, so I had to recreate it all from scratch in a short period of time. So I hope this works. And unfortunately, I have to be able to see some bullet points on the screen, so I'll probably turn my back to you a little bit. I apologize for that right off the bat. I want to thank you all for being here. Hopefully I can, give you some words of encouragement, and you can learn something from my journey. I want to thank Professor Sandra, for inviting me here today. She's been a great friend for a long time, and just a joy to know. So let me get started. Yep, I'm from Lakewood, born and raised here, in Lakewood, Long Beach area. And when I was born, I weighed just over a pound. I'm a twin, and when my sister came out first, and then they went, hold on, there's one more in there. And they said, we don't think he's going to survive. When I got out of the hospital, finally, I was in an incubator for a long time, Somehow he contracted tuberculosis, went back into the hospital, and was there for another 2 years. So, right from the start, I was behind the pack. I was the skinniest kid, the smallest kid in school. I know you couldn't believe that looking at me now, but I was. And you know, when you're a kid, when you're young, that young, and even an infant, that's when you learn how to learn. So I was already behind. And I had a tough time growing up. You know, I was the smallest kid. I didn't get to do any sports. You know, it was still under doctor's care for another 4 years. So I entered the gymnastics program at Lakewood High School, the rec program. And with that, I found some confidence. You know, it started giving me awareness of my body, and I started to excel at gymnastics. And I did pretty well. My brother at the time was a pole vaulter at Lakewood High School. And as I progressed into junior high school, I said, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. And this has been my journey. That's what I want to do is the next thing, you know, part of my journey. So I decided I was going to be a pole vaulter, and went to Bancroft Junior High School, and after school, I would run over to Lakewood High School, you know, to practice. And eventually, I went to Lakewood, and I remember the football coach, you know, because the track is right there, and the pole vault runway is right there, and he thought I was pretty fast, so he asked me to, you know, compete against the other guys in the 40-yard dash, and I beat everybody but the other coach's son. And it was Coach Ford, and he said, crap, son, come out, we'll make you a football player. And I said, no, sir, I want to be a pole vaulter. Well, that didn't go over too well. I faced a lot of adversity from this football team. I'm not kidding. You can't believe what went on. But I'll show you this. That was me in high school. Literally, the football team used to follow me around in a pickup truck and throw eggs at me. And one time I was going down Pacific Coast Highway on my bike, and they threw a dead fish at me. It hit me in the back. And I'm like, well, you know, all because I wouldn't be a football player, right? So I had to work through all of this adversity. They used to sit in the stands during track meets and laugh when I would miss, you know, and it was very humiliating. I worked on the weekends right over here at Skylinks Golf Course to save up money to buy my first pole vaulting pole because the school wouldn't pay for a pole for me. So I did that, and of course the football players stepped on it and broke it, and that was the end of that. The track coach didn't help either. He didn't believe in leaving the pole vault pits out, so I had to carry those things, usually by myself, in and out every day. Every day. They didn't leave them out. And these things are big and they're heavy. Sometimes I got some help, but most of the time, I had to bring them out for practice and get them in before practice was over. I decided to go to summer school because I wanted to not go to school. I wanted to only go to school half a day my senior year. And that was my goal. So I went to summer school every year. Then I saw an article in Sports Illustrated about a guy named Steve Smith. And I read the whole article, and I found out that his coach was Dick Tomlinson at El Camino Junior College. And I decided I'm going to ride my bike to El Camino. So I ditched school, rode my bike in the rain, and I didn't know how junior college worked. So I had to wait outside of his office all day until he decided to come back. But I did, and I introduced myself, and I said, I want you to coach me, and he agreed. So I had a coach, finally. So I used to hitch rides to El Camino. Now, the greatest pole vaulters in the world, literally world record holders, trained there. So I would bribe my friends to drive me to Bellflower in the 405, and I'd put my poles over in the ice plant and thumb rides, and people would stop and pick me up and go, where are you going? I said, well, I'm going to Crenshaw on 405, going to El Camino. They'd give me rides. Sometimes they'd drop me off there, and I'd jog the rest of the way to the school. And sometimes they would be kind enough to drive me all the way. And I got to train with the best guys in the world. And the coach, who lived over here off of Wardlow, would drive me back home I'd drop my poles off at my house, and the next morning I'd run to school with my poles, which of course I got a lot of grief for. People made fun of me for doing that. They didn't understand. But through all that, I became the first state champion at Lakewood High School in any sport in the 27-year history of the school. The first one. So I was on my way, you know. That's me. And those are the pole vault pits I had to carry in every day. The coolest thing about this photo is those are actually the standards that my brother pole vaulted with. They're just antiques. And they didn't go high enough, so we had to set them on top of the trash cans upside down. And I also like the guy on the left. Whoa, look out. Anyway, that's a CIF medal I won, being state champion. And this is Dan Ryan. He was the distance coach. He was the only coach there that really, truly believed in me and helped me and encouraged me in every way, and it was incredible. So I gave him my trophy. And I just got that back last year, so he had it all that time. So I went to El Camino, where I became the national junior college champion. And then I committed to Long Beach State. That's where I wanted to go to school. A lot of great vaulters there. And I made the junior U.S. national team, pole vaulted against the Soviet Union. And I went to an all-comers meet and broke my wrist. Now, the doctor said that I was never going to pole vault again, so I had to give back my scholarship. But I made him a deal. I said, if I get my cast off and I can jump 16 feet, you give me my scholarship back. Well, they didn't keep their end of the bargain. My wrist healed, I jumped 16 feet, I didn't have a scholarship, and I was headed for some tough times, had no money. I went to school on a basic educational opportunity grant, and I actually ran out of gas 11 times in 1 week trying to get to school. That was it. And train and do everything else was hard. But that year I became the conference champion and qualified for the NC2As. But the school wouldn't send me, so I went by myself and stayed with the UCLA guys in their dorm. And I remember being on the track, and the coach came out on the track and saw me standing there. He goes, "What are you doing here?" He didn't even know, you know. That year I was also a U.S. Olympic trials finalist and was proud because I'd overcome this broken wrist and been able to achieve more, and I was on my way. That's me, rocking the short shorts. That's what we did back in the day. That's at Long Beach State. So at the end of the year, they had a track and field banquet. And I'd accomplished so much, and I was really proud to be able to go to this banquet. There was only 2 conference champions. And this is what they gave us. And I got home and I thought, this is truly incredible that I survived all this. Here it is right here. This is the only trophy that I kept. And when I got home, I pulled it out of the box. I was going to put it on the mantle. And I turned around and I saw that the handle was a golf putter. And I went back to school and asked about this thing. And they said, well, they were left over from the golf team, who were also the conference champions that year. So that was the trophy they gave me after I did all that. Somebody now owns that. I'll tell you about that later. But I was on my way. I was confident I'd made the finals of the U.S. Olympic trials. And then one day I was going to work and sitting on a motorcycle and got hit by a car. It just happened. And I'll tell you the story about this. 6 months before this happened, I had a feeling, like a premonition. And I felt something like an itch. Then a month before, it's like, what is that? And the week coming up, and then the same day, I'm going, man, what is that? And when the accident happened, I was laying on the ground with the helmet twisted sideways on my head, and the woman behind me came up and pulled the helmet off my head, and I was in this bright light, and It was like a big piece of a puzzle snapped into place. I couldn't see the complete picture, but I knew I was here for a reason. I just didn't know what it was. So I was at Rancho Los Amigos Hospital wondering, after my injury and after surgery and everything, I had months of rehabilitation to do, and what am I going to do now? And I was watching the New York City Marathon on TV. And the lead runners ran past these people in wheelchairs. There's 2 wheelchairs kind of doing the race. And I looked and I said, what is that? And the commentators didn't say anything about the wheelchairs. And I thought that was bizarre. I said, this isn't fair. And I said, that's what I want to do. This was the next step in my journey. I can do that. So I researched and found out about it. There were a few people racing, mostly on the track, hardly on the road. So I decided to race. That's what I want to do. So about a year after I got out of rehab and got my life back together, I got my first racing chair. It was basically a shopping cart with no brakes, and we had no helmets, none that barely could control the chair. And I started to train. This was actually my first race. I trained really hard, improved my equipment a little bit, and I realized that all the things that I had been through in high school, all the hardships, the humiliation, just made me want it even more. So I trained really hard. What I'd been through had prepared me for what I was about to go through. So I started winning some local races, and I decided I have a new goal. That's win the Boston Marathon. The Boston Marathon is the pinnacle of all marathons. It's the heart of racing for wheelchairs. The very first person to race in a wheelchair raced there in '75. And it was the height of our sport. So I entered, and I thought, this is it. I'm on my way. But boom, I crashed 15 yards from the starting line. The guy next to me pushed the front of my chair, and I folded a wheel. You can see me laying on the ground there. And that was that. But I went back home. I worked even harder, improved my equipment, and I won the next year with a new world record. I trained really hard and eventually won the Boston Marathon 5 times. Had a few crashes along the way, a few seconds, and a lot of no finishes, because things don't always work out. But I always went back home and worked even harder. And with that, this is my victory in '83, and I like this picture because it's a defining moment in my career, and yet the cop on the other side has got his hands behind his back and he's thinking about coffee and donuts. It's perfect. It's a perfect photo. So then I decided I was going to start racing all over the world, and I raced everywhere, in Japan and a couple races in China and in Europe, and I decided to do the Paris Marathon. Now I heard the racers in France weren't really happy that I was showing up, and so when the gun went off, these guys on bicycles showed up, and those were their coaches, and they had spare wheels and tools and everything on the back, and they're kind of cutting me off and keeping me from wheeling in this pack. But eventually one guy would drop off, and I'd go back and pick him up and push him back up to the rest of the guys, and they're looking at me like I'm nuts. Like, what are you doing? We're trying to keep you out of the race, and here you're helping us out. And I showed them how to do a pace line and how to draft each other. And so at the end of the race, when you win a race in Europe, they take you right to the podium. And at the time, Jacques Chirac was the mayor of Paris. And he and his wife were there, and he gave me the wreath and this big trophy, big silver cup. And I congratulated every athlete as they came across the line and waited for the very last wheelchair racer to finish. And he finished in just under 4 hours in a regular wheelchair in Paris, which is 40% cobblestone. It's unheard of. That guy, I waited for the end. When he showed up, I gave him the silver cup, and I said, listen, with that kind of determination, if you train hard, and you commit yourself to this, one day you could be a world record holder and a world champion. That guy, oh, this was the next slide. Sorry, see, I had to redo this. I discovered something. That's when I had this meeting with all of them after the race. But it wasn't enough just to win races, but it's what you do with that win to help others that really mattered. That guy was Mustafa Badid. There he is. Multiple world record holder, multiple world champion, 3-time winner of Boston. And the cool thing is, I'm like Jerry Lewis now in France, because I'm like they call me the father of the sport in their country. That night we had a meeting. I gave one guy my chair, I gave another guy my gloves, all the tape, and showed him how to do everything. And made friends for life, which is worth more than a trophy. So I started giving my awards away. Finisher medal, I'd finish, cross the finish line, and usually there was a kid in a baby stroller and parents, and I would, and the most beautiful baby at the race today, and I would put it, and the parents would start crying, and, it just became a habit. I'd like to give my trophies away to kids or people who need some encouragement. And I started making a habit of that to the point where I had no trophies in my house except for this. That was my favorite one. I retired from racing, but every year I would watch the Boston Marathon. Wake up in the morning, click on the TV and watch the thing, and then this happened. Now, Boston is my second home. That's my street, that's Boylston. And when I was watching this race, I was just devastated. I didn't know what to do. I was in bed for a week just watching the news and watching what happened. And I was really frustrated because I didn't know what to do. There was nothing I could do to help, nothing. Then I started reading about this kid. This is Martin Richard. 8-year-old kid. This is him a few weeks before with a poster that he made in class. That's him running the youth relay they do every year just before the race. Here's him with his brothers and sisters, and every year they would go to the race with their parents and sit on that corner in Boylston and watch. Here he is at the race in the blue circle. That red circle down below, that's the backpack with the bomb in it. That red circle up above, that's Tsarnaev, the bomber, walking away. And Martin Richard didn't make it. His family was decimated. Sister lost a leg. Mother is still affected on the left side of her body. And I was devastated by this story. I didn't know what I could do. I really felt helpless. There was nothing I could do. But then I'd given my mother one of these trophies. It was a bowl that I'd won at Boston. And she had passed away, and my sister sent it back to me. And it's all I had. It's all I could do. So a couple years later, I said, you know what? I got a hold of the race director, Dave McGovery at Boston, and my buddy Bob Babbitt, Competitor Publishing, and I told him what I wanted to do. I wanted to give him this bowl. And we started communicating through email, and everybody got copied on everything, and he said, I can't accept this, it's too much. And finally, he decided to accept it, and he sent me an email that said, we'll display it proudly in our home. I said, no, don't display it proudly. Put it on the coffee table. And all the reading I did about Martin, I found out that mini Reese's were his favorite. I said, just fill that bowl with those. And every once in a while, take one, take a bite, and remember that life is sweet. So it's one of my greatest accomplishments right there. That's the bowl from 91. So giving my trophies away started really to become something really important to me, especially since I hadn't been racing anymore, and somehow I could offer something to people to motivate them and help them do better. I want to tell you about Mom's story now. So the building I live in, down at the end of the hallway, this mother and daughter. The mother's about 80. She's had 3 strokes. They live down there. And every day she comes on her walker down the hallway struggling. And, her whole left side of her body's really affected. And she had a hard time getting her left leg to come through and swing through to walk. And they go for a walk every afternoon. So I talked to Mom. How you doing, Mom? You're looking good. Everything's going, looking great. Have a good walk today and everything. And one day I was coming out of the elevator, and I asked Mom, how are you doing today? She said, I'm doing great because you're my inspiration. And I went, wow, it just about knocked me out of my chair. So my buddy Bob Segrin puts on the Long Beach Marathon, and I got a finisher's medal from him. And the next day I was hanging in my doorway, and they're coming down the hallway, and I jumped out with this medal, and I said, and the winner of the mom's hallway race today in the new world record time. And I put it around her neck, and she started to laugh. And she never talks. She never says anything. Her daughter was astounded that she even talked to me, But the cool thing is, look at that smile. And I saw her a couple days ago. Her daughter told me, she says, every time she comes down the hallway now, she picks it up a little bit as she's going by your door. And that's a great photo. That's my latest trophy right there, that smile. Now I want to finish this by challenging you. I hopefully have given you some words of, encouragement and motivation. But success it's hard to measure sometimes. And I'll give you this. I'll challenge you with this. Every once in a while, not every day, but at the end of the day, if you can ask yourself, what have I done to help somebody else today? If you can answer that honestly and positively, then you're winning. And guess what? You don't get to do this so something good will happen to you. And you don't get to do this like you're buying karma. You just do it to do it. And if you help other people and commit yourself to that, your journey is going to be as sweet as mine. So thank you very much. I want to wish you all good luck in your careers.
I think that deserves a big, another round of applause.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jim.
And
I'd like
that's
to-
my phone number. If you know anybody that needs my help, some advice, help with disability or whatever, write it down, keep it, and let me know. I'll be glad to help. Thank you.
And this is a really great opportunity for, I'm going to encourage people. There's a mic right here. We're going to have a question and answer time right now with our panelists. So please feel free. There's a mic on this end, right over here at this aisle, and over to the left of me. So students, come up, feel free, come on up, and I invite you to ask our panelists your questions. Thanks. Why don't you just say who the question's to also? Thank you.
What?
Who do you want to direct your question to? Thank you.
Okay. For Jim, I was wondering if you didn't have the hardships that you had growing up in high school, for people saying that you couldn't do this, of people throwing eggs at you, your peers just being really rude to you. Do you think that you'll be as successful as you are now without those hardships? You think that you would put in extra effort to help people be amazing to other people if you didn't have that pressure of people just being bad to you? Or just, yeah.
Well, thanks for your question. I think it kind of depends on who you are. People that don't go through those hardships maybe go through other hardships that kind of shape them in a different way. The the things that I went through in my youth really shaped me to be able to endure a lot. And by the way, today I wish I could find the football players. I really do. I really do. But
There's one in my class.
I think that me trying to help people and motivate other people really was really formed when I went through the disability. And a lot of people don't know this, but my father was in a wheelchair as well. So I got to see how he was treated in the 50s and 60s, and I kind of used that to form my own ability to try to help other people.
Yeah, I like how when you talked about when you got hit, you didn't mention anything about you said that you did say that you had rehabilitation, but you didn't go on about how being in a wheelchair really affected you. You turned it into how can I help other people? I really like that.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. I want to add to that also when that piece fell into the puzzle for me, I realized this is where I was supposed to be. And so the disability, I never thought of it as, bad karma or something I did caused this. This is where I was supposed to be at that time.
This question is for Morena. So as a young student yourself, I guess my question would be, if you saw another student that was struggling with, I guess, or maybe being a little insecure or not wondering kind of even the next step on which to take or feeling alone, what would be the best advice that you could give to them?
Okay, so you said as a fellow student that she was asking, like, if you feel alone, you don't know what the next step is, what my advice would be. First of all, I would start with, I felt the exact same things. They're the reason why I wasn't successful, because I was going about everything alone. If you don't, my main advice would be to find someone in your immediate access that would inspire you, because when you're with someone on a daily basis or like weekly, just someone that you have access to all the time and they're just constantly around you, it really does help you stay up most of the time. My person for that would be Sandra O'Toole. I became president of Business Club. She was the advisor. I was in all 3 of her classes. She was basically with me my entire journey at LBCC. I could not and would not have done it without her. But then the times when I needed like something beyond that, I would go on TED.com, watch TED Talks. I constantly seek inspiration, and I still do. There are still times where I don't know what I'm going to do next, and I mentioned that. You have to be active. Inspiration will hit you, and it does like hit me, and it comes to me, and then you come to events like this. But doing things like this and actively seeking out inspiration, and then also just even like being honest with friends or family around you and telling them, I'm not motivated right now. Can you help me? What I started doing, something strange, is times when I don't feel like I'm good enough to do something, I will literally ask a close friend or my boyfriend or my parents, I'll say, can you name a few good things about me? It would help me feel better. And then just be honest.
Thank you.
This question's for Russ. I know you spoke a lot about us finding mentors and, people that are able to kind of help us through our journey. But I'm not sure if many students can relate. It's kind of hard to open our eyes to see who would be great mentors for us, just because a lot of times, like you said, we consider ourselves the center of, the world. What advice would you give us as key things to look out for people that would be great mentors to us?
Sure. Wow. Let me put it in educational context. I know when you're in the business building walking around, if you go to the faculty area, see where the students are. I'll bet you 90% of them are in their offices. That's going to tell you something. I tend to put it on a personal level. you know who to respect, you know who is being honest. And I think you look at the people that work really hard. And it's not so much being there, working hard efficiently is important. I tend to think as you grow up, try to find some people that you really, really admire, see what they do, follow them. Everybody wants to help. I don't know anybody that's my age or relatively close to my age that doesn't want to help somebody. Because we all feel that we're really smart and wise and all that stuff, and we want to pass things on to younger people. You'll find mentors if you show appreciation, and I think that's the most important thing. I know that's very general, but I tend to think it's the whole package too. Just don't look at somebody because they make a lot of money and say, I'm going to learn something. Look at somebody that's nice. Look at somebody that thinks of more than just themselves.
Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to add to that really quickly because I just remembered something that happened with me. I attended an Aim for Success a year after I left Long Beach City. There was an entrepreneur speaking at the front, and at the end of his speech, like Miss Susie Price, he said, "Hit me up if you want any opportunities, I'll help you out." So I called him. I called him a few days later, and he said, "That's so strange. There were so many people in that room, and you're the only person that called me back." I ended up ghostwriting his first book for him. So don't be afraid to ask for anything, whether it's mentorship, whether it's a job. Just ask, because the worst thing they can say is no, and the best thing is you can end up writing an entire book for somebody. So, yeah.
Hello, this is for Professor Arslan. You mentioned we should expand our world and never give up. I can do that. But how do we know? How is one supposed to know when they've succeeded?
That's a pretty tough question. A lot of it is when you feel good enough about yourself to treat other people well. Everything to me is the people around me. And I get more selective as I get older, the people I want to be with and the people I want to help and the people I want to listen to. I think it's self-evaluation. When you're young, everything, your eyes are wide open and you look at a whole bunch of different things. Try to look at people that are successful relative to other people. And I think that'll give you a lot of clues what to look for in life. I really believe that. There's some very special people out there. You know, sincerely, take a Nick or take a Sandra. See what they do for other people. See how selfless they are. And I think that's what you want to be. And if you see someone like that, just measure them. Try to live up to who they are. I know I'm talking in generalities, but I really feel there's certain special people that I've seen my whole life that I've tried to pattern myself after.
Thank you.
So I've got a question for the full panel. Statistically, this is about how do you beat the odds? Because statistically, 70% of us aren't going to make it out of community colleges. It's only a 30% success rate to actually transfer or receive their AA. So you guys have all made it. How did you get out of here and get to the next level?
You're doing it right now. You're right here. How many other people are here on Friday? The other thing is you have to have commitment, dedication, exuberance, passion. Talk to Sandra O'Toole if you want to talk about passion. I'm sincere about that. I mean, that's how you get out of it. You have to be different. This is going to sound really horrible because it's not on personal terms, but you're as valuable as what you can be replaced for. If a mean-spirited, horrible person can get a job over you, it tells you a lot about who you are. And what I want you to realize is it takes a lot of time and effort and dedication and hard work to be a good person. This is an incredible person. His success is his heart. And I believe everything on personal terms. I mean, this is what we want to be in life. And if you're like him and you work hard, anything you want would be at your command. The only thing I suggest is I think you should want more than less for other people. Read books. Find someone that's important to you and follow their footsteps. Knock on their door. Ask them why they're successful. Nothing comes easy. Everything's hard work, but it's worth it. One last comment, and then I'll stop. If you give up a little bit today, you will have 10 times more tomorrow. The difference between being here in Cal State Long Beach and being at Cal State Long Beach and Stanford is a couple hours studying every night. You take 1 or 2 extra hours and get to the best goddamn, excuse the language, the best doggone school in the world, and the people around you, you will create relationships with them to be successful, not only monetarily, but having the ability to help other people. Do it now and work your tail off in life. Everything will come to you.
I can answer that a little differently, maybe. I do some social media work, and I started doing some work for a friend of mine that actually is a lowrider and sells lowrider parts and everything. But as part of that, every day he likes to post something motivational. And today I made a little thing for him that said, don't be afraid to go the extra mile, because it's usually not very crowded. So that's what I would say to you. Don't be afraid to work even harder. Just like you said, you know, that next step might be the last step, might be the next step for you. You finally make the goal. Every day that I trained, I used to, when I would train on Pacific Coast Highway, I'd like to train Christmas Day, Thanksgiving. You know, all the times when I knew that everyone else was partying and having fun, I would go train. So don't be afraid to put in the extra mileage.
To be honest, I actually learned a pretty good answer to this question today listening to Jim. When you were telling your story, and I think this is what will, to answer the question, like what will get you out of here, what will make you different, what will make you the 30% that makes it out of community college. Did you notice when Hugh was telling his story, he just kept saying, oh, this is what I'm going to do next. And I remember when you said after the accident, you watched the marathon and you said, that's what I'm going to do next. You did not mention at all how sad you were, how devastated you were. You viewed adversity as the next step. And like just hearing those examples and just realizing that like bad things are going to happen, hard things are going to come in your way. If you just view that as just part of the journey, it makes things a little bit easier. It makes you less complacent. It makes you it prevents you from throwing yourself a pity party, because you can make it out of here. You just have to realize that all the obstacles along the way are just part of it all.
Thank you.
Hi, my question is for Professor Ross. Seems like the business field can be very competitive. What is one skill that you can say that we need to always remember to succeed in a field that could be when we feel like dismotivated?
Okay. I don't think you can be any better in business than you are as a person. Just like the teachers that you have. If somebody's a horrible person, they're not going to be a good teacher. I think what you have to do is kind of follow your passion. But things are different. Some people like to make decisions. Some people like to follow decisions. Some people are really compulsive about things. Some people are more like A-type personalities where they could just sell you anything. I think what you want to do is sync your personality with some business endeavor in terms of like a major. If you like to make decisions, be a finance major. Because people that are finance majors, where the money is, that's where decisions are made. If you're like a voyeur or a bean counter, be an accountant. Because they don't do anything except look and see what someone else did and try to put it in order. If you have a really dynamic personality, you might want to be in sales. But the guy that, when I say guy, it's the vernacular, male or female. The person that sells the car, they know nothing about cars. You open up the hood, they don't know a doggone thing about an engine, but they know how to sell a car. So some people have personalities where they don't know garbage about things, but they could sell you anything. Find something that fits your personality. And then the next thing that I would say to you, find someone that does it well. And monitor what they do and ask yourself how you can be better. You always strive to be better. They're places for anyone that's good is impossible to replace. Let me just kind of tell you a story for 2 seconds. Remember the Rocky movies with Apollo Creed? He went to school here. That's Carl Withers. And he was the nicest guy ever. Went to school here, played football at Cal State Long Beach. One day we went out to lunch after he was successful, and he was late to lunch because he had an audition. And so there were like 3 of us having lunch, and another gentleman named Bill Barnes said to him, "Well, Carl, you think you got the part?" And he said, "If I didn't, it's my fault." He said, "The second the door is open, they want me to get that part. If I don't walk away with it, I screwed up somehow. I had 3 minutes to do it." And my friend Bill said, "Well, that part might have been for someone else, and they just wanted you to come in to make it look like it was an open audition." He said, "If I'm good enough, they would have found something for me." And in your heart, if you're good enough, other people will know. And I don't want you to be replaceable. You do your best. You find something that follows your passion. Everybody I know that's passionate is really good. Look at Sandra and Nick. You walk in their office, and it's exuberance about life. That's how you should be about business and everything else you do.
Yeah.
All right, wow, that was a great question and answer, very motivating. Let's just give one more round of applause for the whole event. And so before we do like a mingling, so after this event in the next couple minutes, make sure to grab refreshments outside. Coffee and water are still over there. Business department information, if you want to know anything about the business department and the classes that we offer, in the far left corner. And then make sure to hit up that table that has our Oli stickers. You know, graduation gifts are coming up. You know, we only got like 3 more weeks left of school. So we got t-shirts, we got stickers, we got information regarding the club and everything like that. And so after this event is concluded, after we do our opportunity raffle drawing right here, we're going to actually email out to all the attendees a post survey. And some of your professors that actually are requiring this as extra credit are also requiring us to tell you that for you to receive that extra credit and to make sure that you were here is to actually do that survey so that it's a win-win situation. You get extra credit, we get constructive criticism to make this event bigger, better than what it already is. So make sure to look for that email in the near future. And so, are you guys ready? You guys ready? I said that. We're going to mingle after we do the raffle.
The panelists are here.
Absolutely. So the first one we're going to raffle off is a pack of the Long Beach City College Business Club stickers. So all 6 of our little Oli designs and stuff like that. So
These are homegrown, people. These are wonderful. These are vintage items. All right, go middle.
what number? 103. So let's see who 103 is. John Leonard. Is John Leonard's here? Awesome, John. All right, so once we're done concluded, you could go back there, claim your prize. They'll give you a pack of stickers, and you'll be on your way with that. Awesome. All right, let's do the next one. The next one's gonna be a T-shirt. Your design, your choice, either the Driven or the Strictly Business. So after that, you could go back there, pick out your size and everything like that, and you'll be good to go. So number 25 is Nick Holguin. Where's Nick?
Okay.
Awesome.
T-shirt.
Right over there. Great. So you got a T-shirt. The next one is a pair of AMC tickets. So Deadpool came out last night. So make sure you take these. Alex Burnham, where's she at? Is she still here? Yeah, awesome. There we go. Awesome. So just come see us right after, and you'll get your tickets. Awesome. The next one that we're raffling off is. Have you guys been to the new Long Beach Exchange? Right across from the Mercedes old Boeing, Boeing still. We went over to Whole Foods, and we got a $25 gift card to Whole Foods. So this will help, late night cramming the next couple weeks. Go to Whole Foods, get your kombucha or whatever you want to drink over there. So number 30. Angela De La Cruz. Where's she at? Angela De La Cruz. Going once, going twice. All right, you got to be here to win the prize.
Gotta be present. Let's go. Okay. What is the number? Wow.
Maria Mejia. Is Maria Mejia here? No, okay.
Oh, this is interesting. Oh, that's my lucky number. Who's number?
Oscar Aguilar. Is Oscar here? Oh, man.
Wow.
See, these were like the top 5%.
I'm
You guys are
kidding.
the top 2% because you're still here waiting for this gift card. This is awesome. Number 6.
No, it's
Bertha, where's Bertha at? Bertha. In the business club. Sorry, I know her.
Right here.
Right here.
I saw you here.
I didn't say the last name because I know her. I'm like, where's Bertha? Awesome. Got a gift card. And then the last one that we're raffling off is a Mod Pizza. Have you guys been to Mod Pizza yet? Custom make that pizza, custom make that salad. Awesome. All right. We have the final winner, Augustine Lopez.
Yeah.
Awesome. There we go.
You guys are like represent.
All right, so at this time, it is concluded. We thank you so much for coming. It was one of the, I believe it was the biggest and best one we've had so far. We laid the foundation, and it's only grown. So thank you so much. Have a great afternoon, and come say hi, Network. We are here to meet them. They want to give back, so meet them.